Thursday, or Friday Eve, as I like to call it. Today, I'm excited to share another one of my favorite quick and easy, really, recipes. It's great for a snack, it could be a breakfast, a treat, something to have on hand, would freeze really easily so that you can have a little stash whenever you feel like you need something that's a little bit of a treat. But before we get started, for those of you who aren't familiar with who I am and what I do, my name is Jessica Melnick. I'm a registered holistic nutritionist, the founder of the Anti-Arthritis Method, the host of the Happy Joints Arthritis Solutions Group, and I help both women and men with various forms of arthritis get back to living life the way they choose to, not the way they have to. And of course, like I always say, one of the main ways that you can do that is by eating a joint-friendly diet. And one of my things I get asked a lot is, I have cravings. I like to have sweet treats. But sometimes, we don't want to take a lot of time to make something because we want something now. So this recipe I'm going to share with you guys is something that I found online, and it's from a different website that I'm not familiar with, but I was really happy to find this when I was scrolling through Pinterest because it's a really quick and easy recipe. It's something you can keep in your fridge or your freezer. Really, really easy to put together. And it is a coconut carob treat. So for those of you also who don't like coconut, you could substitute the coconut flakes out for some sliced tiger nuts. Tiger nuts are actually not nuts. So you're getting a nut-free and grain-free great source of soluble and insoluble fiber in the tiger nuts. So those are a really nice alternative as well if you don't tolerate seeds or nuts. If you do tolerate some seeds or nuts, you could also use that in place of the coconut. And you can also replace the carob in here for cocoa if you tolerate cocoa. But a lot of my clients do not. And so we need to have alternatives that are equally delicious and healthy. And carob is one of those things where I knew it was like a chocolate substitute growing up, but it kind of was always presented to me as something that was like really unappealing, or it's kind of fake. It's not really chocolate. It's not really the real thing. And you know what? Carob has its own flavor profile for sure. I would say that it has a sweeter taste than like cocoa powder does. And but it is nice and nutty like a chocolate or cocoa powder would be too. And not only that, it's actually a super, super healthy food. There is so much about it that's really good for us, and it's delicious in its own right. So, for any of you who have a lot of food sensitivities, I know a lot of people that become my clients, and including myself, before I went on this joint friendly eating process, there was a lot of foods that I was sensitive to, even healthy foods, and I had no idea that I was sensitive to them. And so, we really, really need to narrow down what foods, including healthy foods, can be causing triggers to our inflammation and our pain when we have arthritis. So, carob is one of those wonderful allergy-friendly foods that is not only super nourishing, but is also going to be really gentle on our systems. So, for those of you who, like I said, if you have a lot of food sensitivities, you're not sure, maybe you do know you're sensitive to chocolate, but maybe if you don't, you want to give this a try, see how you feel. So I want to tell you guys a little bit more about carob because I didn't really know much about carob until I started looking into it, because it is something that I recommend for my clients, at least during the initial phases of my program. Now, carob itself comes from the carob tree, which belongs to the pea family, and it is native to the Eastern Mediterranean region. And this tree produces fruit in the form of an edible bean or pod. So it is from an edible bean or pod. So even though it's from the pea family and peas are considered legumes, on the protocol that we use in my program, you can have edible beans or pods, or the fruit that it comes within those. So carob trees, which are around 50 feet tall, have these pods that hold anywhere from about 5 to 15 hard brown carob seeds that are surrounded by naturally sweet and edible pulp. So once these carob pods are ripe, they can be dried and ground into carob powder. And carob powder is used to make food products like carob chips And it's also used medicinally. So not only is it a food, but it's also a bit of a superfood because it can be used as medicine as well. So, a study published in the International Journal of Plant Foods for Human Nutrition found that carob's insoluble fiber has positive effects on cholesterol levels. And the study credits the carob's insoluble fiber rich content of polyphenols with its ability to decrease both bad cholesterol as well as overall cholesterol in people with high cholesterol. So, something that has been shown in some studies to be a cholesterol lowering food. So, if that's something you're dealing with, give these treats a try. Also, blood sugar management. Because carob has a lot of fiber, it also helps us maintain our blood sugar levels. So, when we are consuming foods with fiber in them, it slows down our, I guess, insulin spike into our bloodstream as well as the blood sugar going up in our bloodstream. So, we want to always keep that at an even keel so that our body always remains sensitive to insulin. So when we get into that pre-diabetic or diabetic realm, it's because our blood sugar is often too high. Our body becomes insensitive to insulin, so it's no longer doing what it's supposed to do. And we have those blood sugar spikes. And over time, if that becomes chronic, then we do develop that pre-diabetes or diabetes. And of course, we want to avoid that. So carob does have a natural sugar content, so you don't want to overdo it, but in moderation, the insoluble fiber from carob and other nutrients are part of a healthy diet, and they may actually help you decrease the likelihood of becoming a type 2 diabetic. So keep that in mind if you're pre-diabetic or you're struggling with your blood sugar. Making sure that we keep our blood sugar stable by eating a lot of fiber rich foods is really important. And I always tell my clients too, making sure that you have a good source of protein and some healthy fats with every meal as well. That also helps manage the blood sugar levels. Carob is also a really great source of minerals. It actually contains a lot of calcium in it. So, in fact, when you compare 15 grams of carob powder, so that's about a tablespoon, to 15 grams of whole milk, the carob actually has way more calcium than milk. So, go figure. It has 52 milligrams of calcium in only 15 grams of carob powder, whereas the same weight in milk only has 16.9 milligrams of calcium. So pretty incredible. So if you're looking for other calcium sources and you want to stave off things like osteoporosis and osteopenia, carob is a great way to get some extra calcium. Your body knows how to absorb calcium when it comes from food form. And unfortunately, dairy is something that a lot of us are sensitive to if we are dealing with arthritis or other autoimmune conditions. So, just some food for thought there for you guys. I will post a link to this recipe below this post and also in my YouTube channel description of this video so that you can try it out. Like I said before, you can also swap out the coconut flakes if you don't like coconut. You can give sliced tiger nuts a try if you are doing the autoimmune protocol or if you are paleo. If you do tolerate nuts or seeds, you could also swap out nuts for some of the coconut or all of the coconut. And if you do tolerate cocoa or raw cacao powder, that's also a good option in place of the carob. But I really encourage you guys to try carob. It has a delicious, sweet, nutty flavor and full of calcium, helps you lower cholesterol and keep your blood sugar stable. A really great alternative too if you don't handle caffeine well because it does not have any caffeine in it like cocoa. And like I said, quick, easy recipe for a delicious little treat that you can have. You can whip up in just a few minutes. There's no baking involved. So if it's hot where you are this summer, then you can just whip this up, keep it in the fridge or freezer and have a quick little treat. So hope that gives you guys another idea of what you can have on hand to keep you eating in a joint-friendly way. Let me know if you guys have any questions down below, and I will be happy to get back to you and have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you next week.